collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Religion can divide or unite people. A new website aims to inform about holy sites for all faiths in Cyprus.
The right to have access to the religious monuments, cemeteries, monasteries, mosques, as well as having to be able to renovate them, respect them, pray there.
Come Christmas, our mountain villages will turn into a winter wonderland.
I assure you it's not going to be something of the ordinary that we've seen in Cyprus. It's actually going to be something out of the ordinary, and we've set the bar high.
But for now, we're still enjoying the beach, and free water is available at some. Just remember to take your own refillable bottle.
As part of the project, we install a water station which provides free water, cold and filtered water to the people.
There are many aspects to the solution to the Cyprus problem, and indeed many aspects to the problem itself. Well, the Office of the Religious Track of the Cyprus Peace Process has been working for many, many years to bring both sides together and include all religions in the peace process. Their executive director is Salpi Eskidia, and she joins me now because they've just launched a website. Salpi, thanks for joining me on the Cyprus News Digest. First of all, maybe before we get to the website launch, you could tell us a little bit about the work of the Office of the Religious Track.
Thank you very much, Rosie. The Religious Track started in 2010, but it was really conceptualized right after 2004, when the referendum for the Cyprus Agreement did not bring in the result that was the same. One side voting overwhelmingly yes and the other no. And in studying the whole process, we noted that religious leaders or religious communities were completely left out of the whole discussion. They were not at the table. In any peace process or peace-building process, we know that those elements of society which are not part of it cannot build trust towards that agreement. The other issue that was important was that the concept of reconciliation. Reconciliation is not something that comes out after a peace agreement, but it's a process that builds up to lead to that peace agreement that should come there. So those were the kind of the main reasons behind conceptualizing this. The Archbishop of the Church of Cyprus, the Greek Orthodox Church of Cyprus, the Muslim Mufti of Cyprus, and the Latin Catholic, the Maronite Catholic, and the Armenian Orthodox religious leaders are the ones that are part of this process. So the Religious Track is their process. The office facilitates that dialogue, and the main emphasis of the religious leaders has been issue of religious freedom. The right to have access to the religious monuments, cemeteries, monasteries, mosques, as well as having to be able to renovate them, respect them, pray there. Unfortunately, these have been victim of the Cyprus conflict because those religious monuments that are left on either side, the respective community that is the rightful owner has no access to it freely.
Okay, but we have got the Cultural Heritage Technical Committee who have done a tremendous job in renovating and restoring many mosques and churches. How does that feed into the overall work of the Religious Track?
Correct. The religious leaders are very grateful. I mean, that's part of the Track 1 diplomacy, as we say in peace building, because the technical committees are formed as part of the process of the mainline process of the dialogue. Their focus is on cultural heritage, which includes the religious heritage. Religious heritage religion is also part of culture. The religious leaders are focusing mainly on the religious heritage, not on the whole culture of Cyprus, recognizing that they're all part of the culture of the island, but also of humanity. They welcome the work that has been done very much, and they cooperate and they support as much as they're welcomed and involved in it. In this case, what they're trying to do is the first time we see in Cyprus where all 5 religious communities of the island are talking about their places of worship equally, impartially. It's not seen as one is the victim and the other one is the aggressor. or one is the one that is blaming the other. But they're seeing the problem together, and they're looking at the solution together. So in that sense, it feeds into the same spirit and same ethos of the Technical Committee of Cultural Heritage, which is also looking at all monuments of the island, be it religious or non-religious, as part of the wider culture of Cyprus, but equally respected and equally cared for and protected.
Now, you've just launched a website, and that, I think, is going to have maps and a lot of information about so many of these places of religion. What's the idea behind that?
The idea is, first of all, to be able to, it started out as a scientific project, not so much as a peace project as such, but now it has kind of moved in because, after all, it's data. It's to be able to monitor and see the situation of those monuments as time goes by, because most of them are also now victim of just basic neglect or natural hazards. So this way you can monitor and see where things are going on so that you can prioritize. We hope that this work will help committees like the Technical Committee on Cultural Heritage or others who are caring for them. This will be information that will be provided for others to be able to use to know, to prioritize what needs to be done, where, etc. So it will not have a lot of information to start with. It's basic. It's very basic. It's a picture and says the status as it is. It's where things are, and also you find it. We've realized that in the dialogue there are a lot of challenges when each side talks about the monument of the other. Through time, they've forgotten. So when one religious leader says, "My church" or "My mosque," so and so, the other does not know it necessarily. If the religious leader knows it, the community doesn't know it. If the community knows it, the faith community knows it, the political or the secular community doesn't know it. So that with time, unfortunately, there has been a bit of lack of memory, of remembering where are these monuments, what is the status of them. So it kind of brings back to the table where we are, together, not divided. At the same time, helps, through a map, you know where to find them. The other challenge is names. Because of change of names of villages, which is not mutually agreed upon, when somebody says, "I want to go to this village," the other side doesn't understand which village that is because they want. So we're hoping that with an interactive map, you can see where they are. The idea is not to create problem, but the idea is to ensure that these monuments, sacred for some, heritage for all, can be respected, protected, and used for in the way they're meant to be, so that they're not a wound in the Cyprus peace process, so they don't become an obstacle to a peace agreement, or if not a peace agreement, to building trust with one another, so that they don't create pain for each other. Right now they are, and we're kind of, unfortunately, putting it aside. Religion is a very kind of sensitive subject. It's meant to be outside of politics, and religion is not meant to do politics here, but it's meant to help politics happen. It's meant to help the process and make a constructive contribution to confidence building, to having the communities knowing that if I live in a village where there is a church or a mosque or a cemetery of another in a desecrated way or used for something that it's not meant to be, which is creating pain for the other, then naturally, if you want to build trust with one another, you shouldn't be doing it. Not because you don't respect it, but because it's causing pain to the other. So if I am your neighbor and you're not there anymore, I should automatically want to go and water your plants because that's your house, because you were my neighbor. You're not there right now, but I want to care for your place. So it's the same concept in that sense, and we hope that the data to put together, because this is the first time we see Muslim and Christian monuments together being put and religious leaders together endorsing it. We don't see, usually we see publication of one blaming the other. Here we see it together, so the process is important for us, very much so, but also the results, and accessible to all so that we can get into the concept that this is not something to hide or to control and to put it, but it's something that will help the process forward.
It's also something that will be of benefit to people who aren't even concerned, I imagine, with the work of the religious track, because a lot of people who just visit one side or the other have no idea about these buildings and monuments, and presumably this, in a sense, will educate them, if you like, a little bit like a tourist guide.
I completely agree. One of the things that we noticed in the last 10 years is that when there are requests of the right to pray for one side or the other, unfortunately, authorities or individuals or different communities consider that it's a political act. They feel that why are they asking to come and pray in this church or in this mosque? They already have so many churches, so many mosques. This is said because there's lack of knowledge. Why do they want to? What does it mean to come to pray in St. George Church? There are so many St. George churches on the Greek side or your side. Why do you need to be doing this here? There's lack of understanding. The other one is that there's also a lack of understanding of the fact that for the Orthodox faith and also for the Muslim faith, once a place is a place of worship, and as they use the language, is sanctified, is sacred. You can't desanctify it and say, oh, now I don't want to use it anymore as a church. From now on, I'll use it as a theater space. This is something that for the Orthodox ecclesiology is unacceptable. So people are doing things not deliberately to hurt. It's because of lack of knowledge. They don't realize that that's something hurtful. On the contrary, you get response by saying, but I'm caring for it. At least it's taken care of. So that if there is knowledge of the other's ecclesiology or understanding of their faith or how they practice their faith, which is a universal value, which is a universal right. It's enshrined in the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, Article 18. So it's not a matter of imposing the faith or the non-faith on the other, but learning about each other. We've noticed that through the separation, through the division, through the decades of not being together, communities have forgotten the feasts of the other. We see a lot of times they repeat, they say, but we used to in the old days, when we had Easter or when we had a Bayram, we did things together. We don't do that anymore. We don't even know how to congratulate each other, let alone respect what it means for the other. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that they're religious. It has become part of culture. So by respect, by knowing each other, I think that's the best way, that's the first step to starting to learn about each other and hence respecting each other and hopefully building trust and confidence and accepting to live not only side by side but together without hurting what has emotional value, what hurts the soul of another. Even if the person is not religious, it's part of identity. Religion is part of identity. And we need to acknowledge that, not because we want to hurt the process, but on the contrary, help the process, help those committees, organizations, non-governmental, governmental, who are trying to either protect, restore, renovate, but at the same time also acknowledge that everybody has a right to exist on this island that has a history, that has a memory that needs to be respected.
Well, respect is certainly, I think, the bottom line on this, respecting the other and respecting views and possibly religions that may be different from your own. Salpi Eskidiev, Executive Director of the Office of the Religious Track on the Cyprus Peace Process. Thanks for joining us, and let's tell people where they can visit. The new website is www.cyprusreligiousheritage.org.
This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
Well, I must say that with the temperatures as they've been, it's rather looking forward to winter for most people, and winter this year is going to be rather different on our tourist map. Joining us is the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Savas Perdios, because the village of Argos, as part of his plan to enlarge our tourist product, is going to become a Christmas village. Savas, thanks for joining me once again. And, the thought of snow at the moment is wonderful.
Thank you, Rosie, for the invitation once again. Great to be with you. Yes, we're trying to always be a step ahead of what is to come, and Christmas and the winter in general. It sounds like it's really far away right now because we're in the middle of the summer, 45-degree heat, but in order to be ready on time, we have to start working already. And this is one of the things that we're doing in order to attract people to Cyprus and also to the villages over the Christmas period. For a period of 6 to 7 weeks, we will be transforming the village of Agros into a Christmas village with its markets, its Christmas lights, a lot of activities locally within the village. But the most important thing is that there will be a lot of day trips from Agros with a shuttle bus to other villages in the area. So it's not just the village of Agros which is going to benefit from this initiative, but also the surrounding villages. We wanted to create this product for the first time ever, in fact, because, as you know very well, we're doing our best to change the perception that Cyprus is only a sun and sea summer destination.
But if you've got local people going up to Agros, will they be able to hop on these shuttle buses and spend a whole day in the area?
Yes, absolutely. And the hope is that they will not only spend a day, but a couple of days, 3 days. There's plenty of accommodation facilities in the village itself, but also in the surrounding villages. The activities that we will have on offer, there will be enough to fill up a schedule of a few days. As you are very well aware, we also have a program of sponsored workshops running, and it will run until the end of the year, so that will be part of the whole package too. And hopefully we will be able to extend the domestic tourism scheme into the winter as well. So you have a selection of incentives put on by us as a Deputy Ministry of Tourism, and I really hope that it's not just going to be a one-day sort of thing for most people, but an experience that can last 2, 3, even 4 days.
Now, I've read in the press that you're hoping it will be rather like the Christmas markets in places like Vienna and Budapest. That requires a lot of very artistic input because, forgive me, but when we've had Christmas markets, for example, in the centre of Nicosia, a lot of it's just tat.
You're spot on with that, and actually, okay, this is not going to be an event that's going to cost a couple of €1,000. I mean, it's a big investment from our perspective as a ministry. We are involving a lot of artists and artisans, handicrafts people, etc., in terms of setting up the events and the workshops, but also the kiosks that are going to be made available to people for their handicrafts or the food they provide or the drinks. They will be made of wood, specific design approved by us, so it's not going to be one of those typical things that we've seen over the past few years where it's just a couple of tables, blanket or a tablecloth put on top and plastic chairs all over the place, etc. We're really hoping to up the game with this, and we've noticed in the last couple of years that everything we do, if it sets the tone in terms of quality, then it gives the right message to professionals of the industry to follow on from that and up their own game as well. So I assure you it's not going to be something of the ordinary that we've seen in Cyprus. It's actually going to be something out of the ordinary, and we've set the bar high, taking examples from places like Vienna, Budapest, Prague, etc. And the intention is not to just have a Christmas market in a square like you see in these cities, but to actually extend that to a whole village and then by extension to the surrounding villages with the activities.
Now, any artist who's listening to this or craftsperson might be thinking, I'd like to have a stand there. What would they do?
Well, we are preparing now a tender process, both for food and beverage outlets, but also for craftspeople, where we are going to open it up to everybody. There will not be a rental fee for the kiosks. They will just need to apply to the ministry with their credentials, what they are doing exactly, what handicrafts they specialize in, and we will be selecting the best ideas or the best people according to a system which awards points based on these criteria. So it's going to be open to everybody, and it's not going to cost something in terms of having fixed expenses like rent or water or electricity. People will still be allowed to sell their products when they go there, but we are doing it in an open tender process, and the companies or the people who are selected, they will be selected on the principles of the point system.
So you are going to vet them?
Yes, there will be a point system. I mean, we do care about what type of things are going to be created, how far away they need to travel to get there, We always want to make sure that the materials are made in Cyprus, obviously, not that they're brought in from abroad, etc. So there is going to be a vetting procedure, but the procedure itself is going to be very open and transparent because people will know in advance of their application what these criteria are.
Savas Perdios, Deputy Minister of Tourism, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you, Rosie.
You can subscribe to the Cyprus News Digest on iTunes for free and get the program downloaded to your phone or tablet so you can listen anytime, anywhere.
There was recently a big event at one of our beaches in the east of the island. Keep Our Sand and Sea Plastic Free is the title of a programme that is trying to do exactly that. And they had the Deputy Minister of Tourism down there for the unveiling of a turtle. Actually, it's a plastic turtle, which seems a bit strange on a plastic-free beach, but let's find out what this was all about. It's part of the Cyprus Sustainable Tourism Initiative, from where Philippos Drushodis joins us. Philippos, so tell us, it was a huge turtle made, I think, from plastic waste. Tell us about that.
It is a project that was done under the project Keep Our Sand and Sea Plastic Free, which we do with the Turkey Foundation, the Travel Foundation, and CSTI. In this project, we collected the plastic garbage from the sea and also from the beaches, from our beach cleaning. And we had a nice artist, a teacher of art, Mr. Vangelis Evangelou, who is from Larnaca, and he voluntarily and without any money, he created a piece of art, which you can find at the Ayatriada beach in Paralimni. It's about 5 meters long and 2 meters weight. And it's there to give the message that we should take care of our beaches and our sea and not throw any plastics. This is the whole idea. And the plastics from the sea were collected from the divers of Dixan.
So it's a whole community project, I guess. But what difference is it going to make to the beach? I presume that there are, for example, recycling bins on the beach and rubbish bins on the beach?
Okay, there are rubbish bins on the beach. What we did as part of the project, we installed a water station which provides free water, free cold and filtered water to the people. So it's there, it's provided there. So it's one of the things that encourages the people not to use the plastic bottles, and that's some of the things that we found in the sea. That's one of the main items that we found in the sea. And also we put a sign of the 5+1 things to do, what to do when you are on the beach to avoid using single-use plastics and to avoid littering. This is our effort. And also the biggest problem on our beaches and worldwide is the cigarette butts, and we encourage the people not to throw their cigarette butts on the beach, which finally ends up in the sea, which has plastic as well. So it's a process, I would say. In order for the beach to become a plastic-free beach, it's a process. We are not there yet. It is a process. We encourage, we give a suggestion to the people what to do in order to avoid the use of single-use plastic and avoid the use of plastic, stop littering. But we hope that the message is there. And we also we have a nice sponsor. He gave us the money, we bought 100 thermos. So we gave to the participating people 100 thermos. And that which they can fill up with water from the water station we just installed.
I imagine that the message is for people who are going to Ayatriada Beach, make sure they take a reusable bottle with them.
That's
and
correct. The
water is provided for free. Now, it's great to do that on the beach, but I can think of plenty of places, for example, in the centre of Nicosia, like Eleftheria Square, where if you're even near that place on foot in the summer, well, the concrete is just radiating heat, and I imagine that the water consumption in that area is huge. Are you going to start doing this in other areas?
And this is the beginning. And the encouraging for us is that we did it with the municipality of Paralimni and their support. And we saw them that they were interested. They were talking to the supplier of the water station, and they were thinking about installing some more water stations in other places of Paralimni and other beaches as well. So I believe that it's a lot of money. So we don't have the funds to install more water stations unless we find sponsors. But I believe it's a good service that the municipalities can provide to their citizens. And as you well correctly mentioned, in the Eleftheria Square, it's a very good place to install a water station there where we give the people the possibility to have a filter and cold water while they're there. So it is an initiative. And I'm sure that other people also might thought about that as well. I think there is another one, water station, I think in Limassol. So there is the movement towards this direction. We see a lot of younger people who were having these water bottles and thermos, going to their work, going to the beach. So we see that there is a hope. There is a hope that our behavior will change eventually and will become more, behave better when we are at the beach, and make sure we secure the quality of the beaches and the water for the next generations to come. I think it's very important.
Well, you're quite right that it tends to be young people who are switched on about this idea of not buying a plastic bottle with water, but taking your own bottle with you and filling it where you can. Now, tell me something about where the water in the water stations comes from, because my understanding was that in Cyprus, tap water is perfectly drinkable, perfectly safe. So could you not just run tap water, and if you want to put a filter in there and a cooler, but it doesn't need to be bottled water, does it?
This installation of the water station was done with the support of the project, Kyrosan and Sea Plastic Free project, and also of the municipality. So the municipality, and we thank them, they provided the water, the tap water, and also the electricity. So they cover the expenses of the tap water and the electricity. And then we have filters, and we have the refrigerator, so we provide filter and cold water. So there is no excuse that the tap water is not good, because it's also filtered, and at the same time it's cold, so people can enjoy that. There has no excuse to use bottled water, for example. And
I presume there were people at the launch. What was the reaction of people to what you were trying to do?
Okay, we were very pleased to see that apart from the people, that the guests were there, we had a competition, and then we asked the beach users to participate in a beach cleaning, and we gave them as a present one of these thermos and some an accommodation to hotels in Paphos, for example. So we're very pleased that we had a good participation of the people with their bathing suits. They came up, they picked up the gloves and the bags, and they collected garbage from the beach. And they were very, very participating in the whole event, and they were there watching the presentation and the unveiling of Calypso. And we receive a lot of good feedback. So we are not as bad as we think. There is a lot of room for improvement, and the younger generation should show the way. I mean, this is the way forward. And this project, we're very proud to say that we did already workshops with 1,500 children. So, and we see the reaction, and the people, the children, we see them, they're very concerned about the issue, and they participate in the workshops, in the presentations, and we're very pleased to see them, and hopefully they will be better beach users, and also hopefully they will influence their parents as well.
And we should say, you mentioned Calypso, that's the name that's been given to this artwork of the turtle. So people will be doubtless going down, in a sense, just to see that, because this is an unusual situation. So Ayatriada Beach is the first. Do you have any commitments from the municipality in that area for more beaches to follow suit, more water stations?
Okay, we have a good cooperation with all the 4 municipalities in the area, because the project is for that area. And the encouraging thing is that the municipality of Paralimni is seeing that as positively, and they will explore the possibilities to install more water stations in their municipality. So we see that is the beginning, and we would like to see other people doing similar things, and this is the way forward. I believe that the municipalities will, they have the funds and they have the money, if you like, to sponsor things like that, and they will continue.
Well, and it, of course, cuts down on the rubbish that they really are supposed to be clearing, even though it seems to me that it's mostly NGOs and personal initiatives that do the cleaning up of our beaches. Philippos Drushodis from the Cyprus Sustainable Tourism Initiative, thank you for joining me, and very best of luck. We will hope that since these beaches with free water may become very popular, that other municipalities in other coastal areas will follow suit. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.